Hi, this is Matthew with Oberlin Weekly. Got a great episode for you. A couple of days ago, Adrian and I met with some activists here in Oberlin that are part of the Cleveland American Indian movement. Now, I met with the executive director, Sundance, and I met with Joe, Devin, Cindy, and Jean, and I was highly impressed with the things that they've already accomplished, things that they're working on now, and goals and plans for the future.
Sundance, you're the executive director of the Cleveland American Indian movement. What responsibility comes with that title?
I think my number one responsibility is just being receptive to all the ideas and needs of the Native community. Here in Oberlin, we have a good contingent of people. Many of them are in this room, and we are all very active. And so basically, it is an active position, you know.
What does it mean to you to be part of this group here?
I think that becoming involved with the American Indian movement for me was a way to reconnect with my heritage. My great great grandmother was Mohawk, and she is what some might call a success story of a residential school where she was taken away from her family and then made to feel ashamed of who she was as a Native person. That was the idea of a residential school, was to kill the Indian but save the man, was the motto. And so she was someone who married a white man and did not stay in touch with her culture and her heritage. I grew up my entire lifetime going to powwows and knowing that we had Native American heritage, but not connected in a spiritual way and not involved in a community outside of going to powwows a couple of times a year. So becoming involved with the American Indian movement gave me a way to educate my children more in culture and to be active members of a community, and to become involved and become participants in ceremonies and things that are really valuable to us as we have reconnected with who we are.
And when you say get involved in things, there's a lot of things going on, right? Demonstrations. There's also, spreading awareness throughout the community to other people so that maybe they can help as well.
Correct. The American Indian movement has been long-standing advocates for changing the name of the Cleveland Indians. So that's something that we're feeling very excited that they have done. But that's one of the things that we went and had protests and advocated for that for many years.
Are there other members of the group? I know we were talking earlier. There is a junior council, right? Or
Basically, our youth council have all grown up to be the warrior council now. So at one point we had the elders council, we had warriors council, and a youth council. But our youth members are all now pretty much either in college or will be in college in the year.
That's excellent. So it's a natural progression, right? Go into warriors, then eventually they'll become the elder council.
That's the hope.
Let me ask you, Gene. Now, even with the Indians changing their name to the Guardians, that's not the end of the work, right?
There's a group from Cleveland and I think Avon and places like that that went to the stadium for years. And I only went a few times because I wasn't able to walk across the bridge, I think, from where you had to park. But I always watched it and made sure that I took notes and took even photos of what was going on the television, so I would have that documented as well.
That was my first protest as a child, was standing outside of the ball field at that time, and really made an impact on me. I was in 6th grade, and someone spit on one of my friend's mother.
Wow.
And it had a deep impact in how I looked at social justice and what it meant to stand for something in the face of personal sacrifice.
From what I was reading on the website, clevelandaim.us, you guys have actually been protesting the past several
50, was
yeah
it 52 years, I
52
believe?
years
Yes,
opening days.
yes.
That's amazing.
I mean, there was lots of, I guess maybe would say rude things that was done and said, and spitting at you and different things like that. Um, People dressing up in native regalia, disrespectful, because we wouldn't have done that ourselves.
Right.
I always encourage people to take action themselves because change happens when we all get involved.
One of the ways that I became involved with this group was through a protest on Tappan Square about Columbus Day, where from that protest evolved another kind of a subgroup, if you want to say, of the American Indian movement, and that was myself, Jean Foggo Simon. Joella was a youth member at that time, and Mary Hammond, who was, she's a retired pastor from here in Oberlin. And after the protest at Columbus Day, the executive director at that time was a man named Three Eagle Cloud, and he announced his retirement. And he had been fighting for the abolishment of Columbus Day for his entire adult life, and said that he just couldn't do it anymore. And it was a powerful time. Sundance spoke there. Three Eagle Cloud spoke, and then from that, Jean and Mary and I and Joella, it was kind of multi-generational woman-led, did a lot of research and presented with our allies. Of course, Sundance and Devin was also a youth member and speaker. We presented City Council with the proposal to abolish Columbus Day here in Oberlin and enact Indigenous Peoples Day. And they did do that in 2017. So it was, again, through the work of the American Indian movement that this secondary work came into play and is still, it's an active group.
Yeah.
Again, it's the same kind of core group.
And that's a big
folks.
deal.
We-
That's not
yeah.
not small. That's a big deal.
The first city in the state of Ohio to abolish Columbus Day. So we are very
That's
proud
amazing.
of the research.
If somebody wanted to get involved, whether it be volunteer or other Native Americans that didn't know about an organization they could join, how would they go about contacting? Would you send them to the website to read more, get some information, or is there a point of contact that they could reach out to?
So, we often get asked how to become members. As I noted before, we are a very active group. So I always encourage people come out and volunteer with us so we can meet you, so we can see who you are, you can see who we are, and see if there is a right fit there. And when we know that you are active, then we will encourage people to become members. Now, short of membership, anybody can come to our functions. We are a public organization. We do work in public, and we encourage people to come out and join us. Again, we natives across the country, we represent about 1.2% of the population, right? Here in Ohio, we represent about, I'm going to say, 0.2% of the population. In the Cuyahoga County and Northeast Ohio, we represent about 0.5% of the population. So any work that we get done happens with us at the helm, but with the support of our allies in the community. So we are very beholden to being an open group and encouraging people to come to any of our gatherings, any of our functions, and just meet us and talk with us and, let us know who you are.
So, Devin, how important do you think it is for the younger folks to be involved as well?
I think it's really important. I think one of the most important things, especially for young people, is to realize not everything, not all of the information that's put in front of us is truthful. I think young people really forget that now with social media and everything. It's really easy to get comfortable in your own little section of life and just sit on your phone and not really worry about what other people are going through. Like my dad said, Native people are around 1% of the population of the country. So it's easy. Like a lot of my peers, you know, when I tell them, like, I've told a kid that I'm Native and they're like, oh, that's so cool. I hope this isn't racist, but I didn't know Native people still existed. Going through middle school, I was in public school and we didn't really get educated about Native issues. We didn't really truthfully get educated about the history of the country that much, to be honest. Me as Native youth, I just try and educate my peers, put them on Native issues, you know, because people don't really care about an issue until it affects them personally.
Same question for you, Joe.
Same question for me. Okay, so one of the issues that I have been focusing on is the issue of, it's a hashtag actually, so it's easy to find. It's a hashtag MMIW, and then sometimes it's also MMIWG2S. And that stands for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two Spirits. And so that issue really stood out to me while I was doing the research for the modern Native crisis when we were trying to get Columbus Day abolished. One of the things that I remember reading about was MMIW and how that's it's a very big issue, mostly in areas where there are being pipelines constructed. Native women and Native girls go missing in rates higher than any demographic in the country. I don't have the exact statistics, but they can be found. And it's an ever-growing issue. And this year it actually got major coverage and major attention, the hashtag itself, because everybody heard about the Gabby Petito case. When Gabby went missing, the world exploded. It just brought up the conversation that the same awareness and the same representation just does not happen for Native women. That issue is one that really came to the forefront for me when I was doing the research on the modern Native crisis. And I actually heard I think she was a researcher, but she said that a lot of times she likes to think of missing and murdered Indigenous women also as the women who had to give up their cultures and give up their identities. And so that struck me as interesting because, like my mother had mentioned, she's my great grandmother, but my grandmother was a Mohawk woman and she changed her name and she gave up her family and she did not try to get back in touch with them. She just clung to her new name and her new white husband and moved away and started a new life. And so this researcher was saying that she was also a missing Indigenous woman. And so that struck me as interesting. And so one of the ways that we've been raising awareness, and I didn't start this, I'm not sure who did, but the red handprint with paint on the face is a popular symbol to just represent MMIW. Red is believed in many Native cultures across Turtle Island. That's how we refer to North America and the Earth. They believe that red is the only color that spirits can see. And so the red is to call those spirits back home and back to their families for those lost souls and those lost women.
We are also members of the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee here in Oberlin. It's two different organizations, but we work together for whatever we do. And this year, for I think the first time since we've been standing on the circle of town, there was more people there than has ever been holding signs. I mean, it was, I don't know where they came from. They just sort of came out of nowhere. And we were glad to have that many people show up to support us because, when, like Cindy said early, when we first started out, it was just 3 or 4 of us standing there.
Like the Indians changed, like getting rid of Chief Wahoo, like Indigenous Day. I mean, you guys are making it happen. You know, those are big deal changes that are happening, and it's certainly not the end of it, right?
Yeah, it's not the end of it. I mean, so I have always, when people ask me who I am, and what I do, I've always prefaced everything with the fact that I'm a father. I'm doing this for my son. I'm doing this for Cindy's daughters. We're doing this for the youth. Because without showing them that without struggling, there is no change, and they have been privy to the change that has come, I mean, I am hopeful that after I become a retired Native activist, that we have another generation of activists, of warriors who are going to be continuing the struggle that we have. And we have a lot of struggles.
Talking originally with Sundance, looking at the website, doing some other research, talking with you here today, I've probably learned more about Indigenous folks and what they're doing activity-wise than I probably ever known. And I'm 40-some years old. There's definitely more to be learned by a lot of people. And with the young folks, trying to help with that, and like you said, the future is going to be good for you guys. I think the future is going to be a lot better for other people who want to learn more as well, because there is a lot more information available at fingertips now. So if somebody wants to learn more, learn how to get involved, help promote however we can, I think the opportunities are going to be there.
First of all, I just want to thank the executive director of the Cleveland American Indian Movement, Sundance, and Joe, Cindy, Devin, and Jean for taking some time to meet with me and Adrian to talk about the incredible work that they're doing. And I listed the website throughout the video, so make sure you stop by the website and check out all the great information they have on some of their activities, their accomplishments, the national news, things going on with the Indigenous people, and some of the education, points of contact, press releases. There's a lot of great information on the website. I think a big message of this story is there's people in Oberlin that are doing remarkable things. They're doing things that not only impact us here locally, but nationally and potentially worldwide. This is Matthew with Oberlin Weekly, real Oberlin people, real Oberlin stories. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. If you have any stories you'd like to share, contact me at stories@oberlinweekly.com. Look forward to hearing from you, and take care.